Good morning and welcome to Middle Age Moto. Today I wanted to give you a quick update on my fuel gauge and the information that I found out and the kind of a pain in the butt it's going to be to get fixed. It's obviously working right now, so it's an intermittent problem, and that's where the key concern comes in. But let me back up and just kind of set the stage for the conversation. So I think I've mentioned in other videos that my dealer is about an hour and 40 minutes away from me, which isn't really a bad thing. You know, I only go there obviously when I have this problem. I've got to go because it's warranted, but let me dig into that too. But, you know, for my services, I get my oil changed there. I prepaid, you know, a flat rate for service. And basically it covers all the services that are needed, including the Desmo service, which is pretty much the same cost as the service up front costs. And it keeps me going back. So as I need other stuff, they're going to try to upsell it. But I do want to do a lot of that myself, which they don't expect. But I digress. So I called my dealer because it is kind of a chore to get the bike up there if it's got to be dropped. And I clicked for service, and basically there's a recording. It goes right to a recording. It says that due to the COVID-19 going on, there's, you know, a backlog and they're super busy, so go online on their website and submit your request for service, and we'll reach back to you. I think it even says something about that they're only handling people that purchased their bikes from the dealership right now, because I guess they're just buried. So I go ahead and hang up, and I really wanted to just get some questions answered, but you know, no big deal. I go online and I submit a request, and then about, you know, a day later I didn't hear anything. So I emailed my sales guy and I asked the sales guy, hey, you guys super backed up, what's going on over there? And he said, nah, we're, you know, and I told him my fuel gauge was bad, which, you know, to be honest with you, he warned me. He told me about the problem. He was very transparent when I bought the bike. He said that's one of the leading things. He told me about the rear master, brake master recall from Brembo that affects a lot of bikes. And he told me that the fuel gauge is kind of an issue, but it's usually covered by warranty. And then I didn't pick up on the usually, but I'll get into that too. So I basically, you know, he emailed me back and, you know, said, no, they're not busy, just bring it in and we'll get it knocked out for you. Well, I needed a little bit more than that, you know, because is this a repair like when I get my services changed? Do they stock parts because it's something that common? And all they got to do is just swap it out. I could ride up there on a Saturday morning and be done. Or do I got to make arrangements to get the bike there? Either get a ride or rent a trailer, because I don't own a motorcycle trailer. I do have a truck, but you know, I don't have a trailer to tow the bike with, so I have to make arrangements. So I'm waiting on service to reply back to me, because I want to get, you know, ask them the questions. And what turns out, after a week, I get no response. So I'm, as in my other videos, I'm contemplating buying another bike, and they carry Yamaha, which the Tenere was big on my list. And I had already talked about my sales consultant about that bike, and he knows that I take forever to make a decision. So I put another request in, and at the end I said, you guys got to work on your service thing, because customers that have purchased bikes from you, you know, especially Ducati, you expect a premium. I expect service. Service after the sale is one of the most important things to me ever from the industry that I was in. So, you know, you've got to take care of your customers, and it keeps them lifelong customers. especially in the motorcycle industry. I'm going to do a whole separate video on, you know, my impressions of what's going on with motorcycles. Now I know sales and a lot of the time in Europe is very good, but I'll get into that later. So then I said, you know, this is definitely swaying my decision to not purchase my next bike from you guys because I need servicing done correctly. And, you know, that would be a big decision, buying another bike from them that's not a Ducati or a BMW or an Indian. Because if I buy a Yamaha, I've got a Yamaha dealer right up the street. And I could buy the Tenere right up the street. You know, my Honda dealer, you know, it's mainly Honda, Yamaha. So that's where I get my tires done. And it's 10 minutes from my house. So it's definitely, they've really got to stand out and do the right thing for me to decide to commit, because I'm taking it where I purchased the bike. I feel bad going to the other one, and that's a whole nother story. But so I stay on track. So I get an email back, and it was pretty rude. It was a little bit defensive. You know, please tell me how I didn't, you know, answer your questions, and I didn't respond to your email because you talked to Jimmy, the sales consultant, and he said to bring your bike in. So I emailed him back. I said, he's in sales, you're in service. I need to talk to you. All right, I've got some knowledge of how car dealerships work, because that's what I did for my career. So I basically told him, you know, in an email that my sales consultant is in sales, you're in service. I need it from you. I said, I really need to talk to you. Can you give me a call? So he calls me, and thank God it took him some time because I cooled down from that email, and I'm not going to get into the full depth. Now, granted, I'm not trying to bash these guys. These guys have been really, really good to me. You know, the service has not blown my hair back, but it's been adequate. So I'm not going to, you know, be concerned. But in his email, he also stated that it's a warranty item. I can't do anything until the bike's here. And if Ducati decides not to warranty it, they'll most likely weaken goodwill it. And that's when I stepped back. And I was like, what is going on here? I said, I got a 2-year warranty on the bike. It's a known problem. Is he saying this just to put fear in me, or is he saying this because he's run into it in the past where Ducati's not covering the fuel sending unit or whatever's causing the gauge to stop working? And that's when I started really thinking, I'm like, wow, what else may not be covered by Ducati? You know, I was under the impression that, you know, if something fails on the bike that's not contributed to a wear and tear, it's covered for the first 2 years. If something goes bad, you know, is there fine print that I didn't read? Is there anything like that? You know, I'm not a big owner's manual reader. So it kind of, that threw up a red flag. Because, like I said earlier, I've owned mostly Yamahas. And granted, I've never had an issue. But everyone I know that's had any sort of problem, they took it in, it was fixed, and they were on the road. And the Yamaha dealer that I bought all my motorcycles from, if there was a common problem, they stocked the parts for it. They were all about taking care of the customer. If there was something that they saw a bunch of items failing over and over, it wasn't a recall, they went ahead and just stocked the parts to replace it. So I emailed him and said, hey, give me a call so I can get some details. That was really what I was looking for in my original. That's what I said in my original. I wanted to speak to somebody. You know, this emailing back and forth is so unprofessional. Not unprofessional, it's unpersonal. And I want to talk to you. You know, I've known you now. I've serviced my bike with you. We talk when we come in. You know, we cut up. and now I'm just some other schmuck. I know he's got a lot of customers, but you know, I've said earlier, I'm the only one that I've ever seen in Montgomery, Alabama that's got a Ducati. I've never run into another Ducati here in town, and I ride all over, whether it's in my car or here. So you know, I should stick out a little bit, you know. So he calls me back, like I was saying earlier, and he's nice, and I'm nice, and I said, listen, man, I love you. I got some questions. I said, how does it work? I need to know. Is this a common problem where you stock parts for this? Is you know, is this something that I got to drop the bike off? Well, it turns out they don't stock the parts, and the parts come from Italy, and we all know that we're going through COVID right now, so God knows what shipping and parts and all that is going to be. He said that I have to basically take the bike and drop it off, and they do some tests, and then they contact Ducati and open up a claim, and then usually Ducati will send them a request to do a different test and another test, and do several little tests to basically determine that it's actually bad and it's not something different, and diagnose it. So it's almost like Ducati's really covering their butt as far as spending money, which, you know, that's fine. They gotta do them. So I basically have to drop the bike off. They're going to diagnose it and go through their thing. So that could take, he said, up to a week. Then he said I could pick the bike up instead of leaving it up there sitting while they wait on the parts and have my bike to ride. Or I could just leave it there, which I would never do. It's just going to sit, and, you know, it's hard to describe the facility. It's service department's off in the back, and there's just like a fenced in area that they stick the bikes in. They do have an inside area, but it's a fairly decent traffic area, at least the areas that I've seen. They may have another area where they keep people's bikes, but there's a chance of it getting knocked over, it's getting scratched. You know, yes, I'm being anal, but you know, it's still, I take pride in ownership. And then when the parts get there, I got to take the bike back and drop the bike off again, and it could take several days to get the part in. It's not a one-day fix. So I'm looking at multiple trips an hour and 40 minutes away, so I got to really work it out. So at first I was going to go buy a trailer. You know, I said, oh, this is the way it's going to be, I'm going to buy a trailer. And then I started looking at any really decent trailer, especially a motorcycle style trailer, is a couple grand for the cheapest that I could find. And so I'm like, nah, I'm not going to, you know, I don't want some hokey thing. There was a couple for $1,000, but I don't want some hokey, dangerous thing. So I was like, I'm not going to spend that. So the light clicked, and I really don't have anyone that I know. I have one buddy that's got a trailer, but he uses it all the time. So I mean, it's done. So I said, well, let me go online and see what kind of rentals are out there. And it turns out that U-Haul rents motorcycle trailers, which, God, I've seen them on the road. Why didn't I think of that? And if I'm not mistaken, it's about, with adding extra insurance and all that, which I got to contact my insurance company and see what they cover and what they don't. It says that insurance companies don't cover theft of product. Not that I'm ever going to have it at my site, but the insurance was $8. But the total cost is like $23 to rent a trailer for 6 hours. And that's plenty of time to get the bike up, drop it off, and come back. So, multiple trips, 3 trips, you know, less than $100, maybe $100 with tax to get the bike up there. But then I started looking online, and the sending unit, if that's what it is, which that's what everybody on the forum says, for an aftermarket one that's warranted for 5 years, is $128. So to be honest with you, I haven't looked to see what kind of labor is involved, or what kind of, you know, kind of work it's going to take to get it put in. But I've been considering that, because my time is valuable too, and that's 3 trips back and forth to Birmingham, Alabama, to get the bike fixed, where I can just order the part online, because I'm looking at about $100, and that's not including gas and everything. So, you know, I can probably buy the part and throw the part in and be done. But I really want to use the warranty if it's going to be warranted. So that's the update on it. Oh, I just almost forgot one of the most important parts. Because it's intermittent, like it is now, if the gauge is working when I go up there, they're not going to be able to get any fault codes because it's working correctly, or not be able to test it. Now, I have my videos that I've done for YouTube, for my channel, that show gauge inoperative. But he said that's not enough. He's got to be able to send fault codes to Ducati. So if the gauge starts working like it is now, I pretty much have to wait. So I'm on standby, and hopefully, because sometimes the gauge isn't working and I come home and I sit the bike, and then the next time I go to ride, I start it up and the gauge is working again. And it's not a point of, once it heats up, it stops working. I've looked into that, because it just, I mean, the bike's cold. When I start it, sometimes the gauge isn't working. Sometimes when I fill gas up, it starts working. It's really, really weird. So if it's your first time here, sorry about, it's kind of jumbled today, and I've been jumping around quite a bit. And to be honest with you, that's how I tend to roll. But if you saw something you like, please like, subscribe, and comment. I'm trying to build this channel up and get some viewers. This is far from a career for me, and I don't plan on it, but I just like being out there and chatting with people, like-minded people. So thank you, and have a wonderful day.